to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm Kinsey Schofield here with Kevin O'Sullivan. You watch us together on the Political Asylum with Kevin O'Sullivan. And I feel like we've got a busy show today. Kev, I don't know how good you are in the kitchen, but eagle-eyed
Not
royal
bad,
watchers.
actually. Not
Oh,
bad.
really?
Yeah.
Well, eagle-eye royal watchers have caught some of Meghan's behavior in the kitchen, and they don't really appreciate it. In fact, they're calling her out. They're calling her Salmonella Sussex after her Thanksgiving video where she is manhandling a turkey with her bare hands and jewelry on. Is that something you would have caught, do you think, initially when watching something like that? Are you like, ew?
I think there's two things I thought about it. Was first of all, why, we don't need a video of you telling us how to season a turkey. Everybody knows how to season a turkey, bit of salt, bit of pepper, some butter, so some herbs if you want, That's ridiculous that she does it all fast. Look at me, this is what you have to do. We don't need that advice. If I'm going to take that advice, it'll be from someone who's, I don't know, a professional chef, as opposed to someone who just goes into the kitchen and pretends to be a professional chef, as in Chef Markle. So that was my first reaction. And then, I do know a bit about cooking, unusually. I do cook quite a lot. And you have to be very careful, particularly when you're dealing with raw meat, particularly raw white meat, raw birds. And you have to scrupulously clean your hands or wear those plastic gloves. If you're going to keep your jewellery on, for God's sake, the plastic gloves. She does not do that. And there she is with her jewellery all over it. Now, jewellery, no matter how much you clean your hands, wash your hands, jewellery will retain bacteria. So what we saw there in that video was a hygiene no-no, a bacteria-packed hygiene no-no. So she's so keen to get onto Instagram. Oh, here I am again with some, it's Thanksgiving. Oh, look, it's a turkey. She just doesn't think. So somebody who's advising her. You've got to be careful with this stuff. So the whole thing, this ludicrous video is a disaster. She's actually, she puts this video up and it requires a health warning. It requires experts to come in and say, don't do that. I mean, that's just catastrophic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's become a pattern though, because it reminds, first of all, I remember so many people reaching out to me when With Love Meghan first aired in March saying, pull your hair back, put your hair up. Watching her hair dangling over the food was so unhygienic and gross to a lot of people. But it reminds me of the bath salts. Just be a little bit more responsible. People, there was a woman that threatened to sue Meghan over alleged burns on her legs from the bath salts that she made from season 1 of With Love Meghan. And you said something very similar to me at the time there. Should Netflix put a disclaimer on the screen saying that they don't recommend you doing this? And here we are again talking about a disclaimer. Take your jewelry off, wear gloves. Is Meghan's behavior responsible? And why it's important is because she's trying to brand herself as an expert and teach new generations how to just in general.
Yeah, how to
pretzel
do
to
everything.
pretzel bag.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem to be very responsible. Do you think that this was the reaction she expected when posting? What did she think? What reaction did she think she was going to get when she posted this Thanksgiving video?
It's an interesting question, Kinsey, because I'm not sure. Even if it was okay, even if she was wearing gloves or had taken her jewellery off and washed her hands properly, it's like, well, what's the point of it? If you like, tell us how to make pasta dishes or whatever. But don't tell us how to season a turkey and so on and so forth. And you think
you're so right. Like, it's not even if she were to do anything unique, then I do think we wouldn't have this complaint. But it's so basic. It's so, for dummies that it's almost insulting that she thinks that this is something that needs to be put out there. Because, show us the unique way you cook a turkey that Doria showed you how to cook a turkey, that her grandmother in Tennessee showed you, or whatever, how to cook a turkey. But everything is just so
Yeah.
basic. And you're like, Netflix gave you a check. Why?
Yeah, exactly right. And you're right about the bath salts saga. She should have learned from that. I mean, who is advising her? I mean, if you have, TV cooking shows, they are scrupulous about this. They have people on the set to say, for God's sake, don't make any hygiene mistakes. This is the most important thing. We cannot instruct people, to give themselves food poisoning. That's effectively potentially what Meghan did there. Keep your jewellery on, don't worry about that, have a good old rub of your turkey and get salmonella, hence she's now called Salmonella Sussex. Why doesn't she ever learn anything? She seems to make the same mistakes time and time again. Most of us learn from our mistakes. Meghan just seems to repeat them.
It's so funny. Like, you're like, who's advising her? Well,
Yeah.
I suspect the person that was advising her during the bath salts debacle is a completely different person that's advising her today, based on the fact that she can't keep her employees for very long. How funny is it to you that this has gone mainstream? Salmonella Sussex. This is a joke started on the internet by, sleuths online that just thought that this was unacceptable. And now you open up the Daily Mail or the New York Post and you're seeing it splashed across the headlines. What does that tell you about Meghan's trajectory in 2025?
Well, she talked, didn't she, last week about her irrevocable fame, her irrevocable level of fame. And there's no doubt she's very famous, for obvious reasons. She maintains that fame scrupulously. If you're into being famous, you have to feed the fame beast by constant updates on yourself, constant videos, constant press releases. That's what she does. But what does this saga, what does Salmonella Sussex, that saga, tell us about her? She gets in the papers, not for good reasons. She always gets in the papers for negative reasons, things she's done wrong, things that have annoyed people, behaviour that hasn't been appropriate, and so on and so forth. The media, in terms of Meghan, is like this sort of, it's kind of sitting there waiting. What will she do next? What will she do next? And sure enough, she always delivers. She always delivers some howler, some mistake, something she's done wrong, some behaviour she's subjected someone to, and so on and so forth. So when was the last time you saw a story about Meghan saying, "Oh, it's brilliant, Meghan's cooked a fantastic meal on Thanksgiving, and look, there's Harry, there's all her friends, and isn't it wonderful?" You never see those stories, do you?
Well, you do, Kev, at People
Oh,
Magazine,
of
at
course.
Us Weekly. And you know what? I don't trust those sources anymore because they are so biased towards them.
Mm.
And it's clearly for the access they get from them that I don't trust. They've jeopardized their own
Yeah.
credibility as media entities because of that.
Yeah, but if you think about it, Kins, those statements, an insider said, a source said, a friend said, in Page Six, People Magazine, Us Magazine, they're always a reaction to something she's done wrong. So it's, oh no, she wasn't. She wasn't being.
Well, they also get scoops directly from
Yeah,
Harry and
yeah,
Meghan. I mean,
yeah.
it was People Magazine that announced, and the tone was insane, that Prince Harry had this exciting new opportunity to speak at a Hilton in Toronto, and they tried to play it up like he was talking, they tried to play it up like the man had cured cancer, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a pay-per-view uh, royal, access to a royal for $250 ticket. This is
Yeah.
actually quite embarrassing.
Bunch of real estate agents, right?
Yeah.
I mean, making the point, by the way, His Royal Highness, or is he the Royal Highness anymore? The Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, will be here to address you all real estate agents, but he won't be talking about real estate. He'll be talking about service and leadership. I still don't even know what he means by that nonsense. But you know, he doesn't know anything about anything. Certainly doesn't know anything about real estate. So he goes up there, as I keep saying about that, as you and I have discussed in the past. I hope he got a big paycheck, because all he is doing there is singing for his celebrity supper, like any other desperate star who takes a check to appear somewhere for a lot of money just because of their celebrity status. No reason to be there whatsoever except for the money.
I know you won't be surprised by this headline. Meghan Markle accused of exercising control over Harper's Bazaar story. Radar's reporting that Meghan is under fire for going full diva when it came to that Harper's Bazaar piece. Insiders are insisting that Meghan called the shots. The publisher allegedly bowed to her demands about what made it into the piece. And you sit back and go, and she let the piece about her being announced as the Duchess of Sussex to no
That's
one
a good
remain.
point. She probably liked that bit. Yeah, she probably liked that
No,
bit.
I do think she probably did like it at I don't think she realized how it would be interpreted, but she is trying to plant the seed. And I said this back in the day when she said to Mindy Kaling, I'm Meghan Sussex now. She's trying to force the Sussex title on us in case it's lost, so that there will be some places in the sphere that continue to refer to her as Duchess Meghan, Meghan Duchess of Sussex, even if William strips it. I know Tom Sykes said it recently and everyone's crediting him, but thanks for watching, Tom Sykes. I said it a long time ago. One insider told the publication, the running joke is the industry now in the industry now is that Harper's should have credited her as guest editor, subject, and muse, as her profile piece is so gushing. They continued, the piece is so stomach churning, sycophantic, that it appears to have her handprints on every line. It seems it was written and handed to her for an edit. It is trite nonsense with zero insight, wit, or even anything based in reality. One fashion source moaned, it's like a Hallmark card Meghan has written to herself.
Exactly
I mean, this is
right.
something we've come to expect. We just were talking about People Magazine and Us Weekly. Harry and Meghan have very specific rules to have, by the way, that contradict the Sandringham or the Megxit. Remember, they told us they were only going to work with up and coming grassroots young journalists, and here we are with
Harper's
Variety,
Bazaar, Harper's
The
Bazaar,
Cut,
cutting edge,
Harper's
cutting
Bazaar,
edge.
yeah, and you know, we have come to realize that Harry and Meghan have very specific demands when it comes to working with media entities. They want full control and the exchanges that you have access to them. And you know, how often do you and I talk about Harper's Bazaar? Not very often. Maybe that is simply the return on investment for the publication.
You look, the thing is, you're based in Hollywood. I used to be based there. I used to do a lot of celebrity interviews. And when you heard the dreaded words, oh, you know, so-and-so will require copy approval, frankly, I came to learn you might as well just say, well, let's not bother. Because once you give copy approval to anybody, you'll be amazed what they don't approve. You know, they just cut you'll get your interview back and they'll have sort of black pen through 50% of it. Now, some of them take it to an extraordinary extent. I mean, I've given copy approval a few times. Every single time I did it, I said, right, I'm never doing this again, because it renders the whole interview pointless. Everything becomes bland, a PR puff. Now, Meghan clearly took this to extremes. There are other stars like her, but maybe not quite as bad as her. So what you've got here, in my view, this will be a demand for a cover and then full copy approval of every word that appears in the magazine. And she clearly also ruled the roost with a rod of iron when she did the photo shoot as well. So Meghan stamped her foot all over that interview to the extent that when it appeared, it actually did have some interesting things in it. But I'll guarantee you it was a lot more interesting until she got her hands on it and censored probably most of the interesting stuff. It is interesting, as you say, Kinsey, that she did allow the piece about sitting on the strategic table at the Polo Lounge so that everybody could see her. And she allowed the sentence about her communications officer sitting between her and the journalist. And then she allowed, as you say, when they went to that New York brownstone of that friend of hers, she allowed into the copy the fact that she was announced when she came into the room, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, even though there are only two people in the house. I think that what she likes about those two stories is that they are confirmation, in her view, of her lofty status, how important she is. So she likes that, and she's so blind to what that will look like to the rest of us that she gives that her approval. But both those little tales, those little anecdotes, made her look terrible, but she doesn't quite see this. As you said,
I think she's surrounded by powerful women that are saying, you take this, you own it. Like Victoria Jackson, whose home is the New York home. The Victoria Jackson is the co-owner of Godmothers, the bookstore that has the Meghan Markle pop-up, which is not, our spies are telling us, not moving a lot of product. Victoria Jackson is the makeup mogul, the no makeup look that we're actually seeing Meghan pursue lately. And I was with one of her former friends in Bel Air on a couple of days ago. I think it was on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And she told me that Victoria Jackson hates her husband. And I loved that, because isn't it so funny that Meghan's mentor and that the woman that Meghan is leeching off of via private jets and free homes, free places to stay all over the world, is a woman that has no respect for her husband, allegedly, and a woman who can't stand her husband. And Meghan is around a woman that is normalizing that for Meghan.
I guess that's true. I mean, the dynamic of the Harry and Meghan marriage gets more intriguing by the day. So, when you think about the Harper's Bazaar, the sort of blitz of publicity going on now. Oh, here's my promo for With Love Meghan, the Christmas special. Here I am on Instagram again. Here's me and the kids and that guy Harry at a kind of do-gooders kitchen in Los Angeles. It's all about her. It's all about her. She requires Harry from time to time as a prop. She required him to kiss him in the promo for With Love Meghan. It was handy to have him there in the kitchen in Los Angeles with the backs of the two kids' heads, as usual. So her family generally, but particularly Harry, have become props in her bid for, world domination, to become, world famous, the most famous person on the planet, and to make the most money. She's not quite achieving that, and she's certainly not, I don't think, making that much money as things stand. But Harry is there purely to help her bid for world domination. And it's getting to be embarrassing. It's getting to be embarrassing. I can't say I'm a massive admirer of Harry, far from it. But I'm beginning to feel a bit sorry for him in that marriage.
Hi, guys. I want to tell you about today's sponsor. A fresh start is possible. You may be carrying the same debt month after month, watching it get worse, but that only continues if nothing changes. PDS Debt has already helped hundreds of thousands of people rewrite their financial story and take control. Your turn starts now. Whether you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt offers custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique situation and build a personalized plan just for you. There's no minimum credit score required, and their mission is simple: help you save more, pay off debt faster, and finally put money back where it belongs, your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, has thousands of 5-star Google reviews, and holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot because their program works. And every month you wait costs you more in interest and fees. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. This is the debt solution I would recommend to friends and family. Don't wait another month. Change your story in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you at pdsdebt.com/Kinsey. That's pdsdebt.com/Kinsey, pdsdebt.com/Kinsey. Talk about the other props you mentioned. Meghan is facing fresh accusations that she is ruthlessly expertly curating her kids' online profiles for maximum brand value. That's a mouthful. After releasing a new set of half obscured images of Archie and Lily in the same week, she expanded her growing online retail operation, like a snail, I guess, like at a snail's pace. The approach echoes a pattern observers have noted for years. Photos of the children shown, but not really, revealing them just enough to spark fascination, curiosity, and clicks. One critic familiar with Markle's digital strategy hit out, this controlled glimpse aesthetic is not about privacy, it's about maximizing value. She is making them into dream clickbait and managing them for maximum brand value. The same source argued the Duchess curates their visibility like any influencer parent managing content assets and predicted she will soon be setting them up with their own social media accounts to make them online earners capable of attracting small fortunes for posting branded content. Kev, I can see it too. However, that completely conflicts with their campaign to protect children from the internet. This does not feel like a path that Prince Harry would be comfortable with Meghan taking his children down.
Well, once again, Kinsey, I agree with you. And you get the feeling that Harry is not at all keen on this utilisation of their children to sell as ever products. But he has to do what he's told. And in terms of the kids, it's almost a rigid pattern. We've talked about it before. Picture appears back of the kids' heads on Instagram, maybe a video. Oh, here they are, pumpkins. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. Back of their heads. Oh, look, they're in a kitchen. 24 hours later, almost rigidly, 24 hours later, some kind of sales pitch will emerge. So put the kids out there. Get the interest going. 24 hours later, there's a sale on as ever. Or I've got a new product, more wine on as ever. She uses those kids to sell products. And you're right, as and when she feels that their faces can be seen, I think she probably sees a pot of gold there. So it can only get worse. And it's not a pleasant spectacle. I don't think it's right. And I can only imagine that Harry, who I think is genuinely worried about online harm to kids, who genuinely worries about the effect of social media on young people, I can't imagine he's at all pleased about this exploitation of his own children. Meghan says she's worried about online harm to children. She says she's worried about the effect of social media on young people. But is she really? Is she really? Or is it just another one of these do-gooder things she says? You decide, Kinsey, you decide.
Yeah, it reminds me of Tina Brown talking about how Meghan just jumps from cause to cause based on what's trending, what the hashtag is. And that's all I've always felt like that was just written so perfectly to describe Meghan Markle. If she was really that concerned with social media, would she be on it on a personal level? I understand As Ever having placement on there, and occasionally we'd get a peek at Meghan through the As Ever channel because that's her business. But Meghan's personal insistence on having a presence, which I feel like was very detrimental to her this year, while looking at the year as a whole and what's gone wrong and what's gone right, a lot more wrong than right this year.
Gonna say.
I felt like the introduction, the reintroduction to Meghan on social media was not something ultimately that benefited her. It allowed us to see how truly selfish and self-consumed and shallow and vapid she is.
Yeah, she has one, Tina Brown's right. She leaps from cause to cause to cause, whatever's trending, whatever will get the most clicks. But her main cause is the promotion of Meghan Markle. That's the central cause. That's what she's really interested in doing. And if she can come up with some kind of do-gooder purpose in order to promote herself, she will do just that. And I mean, her narcissism, it seems to me to be growing by the day. As I said the other week, seems to me, in that interview with Harper's Bazaar, oh, Harry loves me so much. He loves me more than anyone else in the world. His love for me is bold. He's always got my back because he loves me so much. Never once did she mention her love for him, because I somehow doubt it exists. I think she doesn't have real room for any love in her life apart from her love for herself, because that is all consuming. Everybody in her life is a bit part player in the Meghan Markle story. It's almost like she's acting her own biopic. She's starring in her own ongoing biopic, which she believes will have a joyous, triumphant and happy ending. I'm not so sure the way things are going.
That's so funny that you say that, because there is an article out there right now that accuses Prince Harry of basically digitally, kind of appropriate for this topic, digitally stalking Meghan and falling in love with her on social media before they actually met. If you haven't heard of beef tallow before, it's simply rendered beef fat. And before you say, wait, beef fat and skincare, stay with me. Beef tallow is actually packed with skin-loving nutrients and fatty acids that mimic your skin's natural barrier. That means it helps keep your skin hydrated, smooth, and calm without all the toxic synthetic stuff and fillers in most moisturizers. And that's exactly what Amalo is built around. They've taken this old school time-tested ingredient, something our ancestors used for generations as a natural moisturizer and healer, and brought it back in the cleanest, most thoughtful way possible. Mallow is a small family-owned business making everything right here in the US. Each batch is handmade with grass-fed, grass-finished beef tallow and organic essential oils, no unnecessary additives, just pure, effective skincare that works with your skin, not against it. And honestly, that's what makes Amalo so great. It's all about simplifying your skincare routine. Get back to basics using ingredients your skin already understands. It's clean, it's natural, and it actually works. So if you're ready to make the switch, head to amalo.com/Kinsey and use code Kinsey15 for 15% off your order. And we know parts of this story, although when anyone sits me down and says, how did Meghan and Harry meet? I go, which version do you want? Because several versions of this meeting. But in Spare, he says, I stumbled upon her on Instagram and messaged my friend. And, but there's an article that's been circulating over the last 4 days, and it accuses Harry of stalking Meghan online and falling in love with this online persona she created around the TIG and around Suits. And again, we're all our best versions of ourselves online. And I sent it to someone in the know, and I said, well, that's an interesting theory that would just potentially justify to me the fact that he was willing to turn away so quickly when it came to her bad behavior. Was he fixated with her and this version of her that he, had found on the internet? And my friend in the know replied, this sounds like a story that Meghan Markle would put out there, that Meghan Markle would plant, that Harry stalked her online before they met, that he developed these intense feelings for her and was telling friends around him, if I could just get a chance, I know she's the right one for me. And I thought, yeah, I can absolutely see her planting that story. There's a couple of weird things going on. I mean, I want to, Victoria Jackson and that friendship, this is a woman that can't stand her husband. Dickie Arbiter told me Meghan insisting on being referred to Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. He said that's the incorrect title. That's the title for a woman that is divorced or a woman that's widowed. So is Meghan privy to that information and that protocol, or is she planning for something? We talk all the time about the Vanity Fair article where the lawyers approved the paragraph about someone from Meghan's team shopping a post-divorce book. Would Meghan plant a story like that about Harry stalking her and Harry being the one that has these intense feelings for her, so that when and if they divorce, the public side with her and call him irrational, call him I don't want to use the word unhinged, but do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
That
I do. I think it's this. I think it was what you just said is really interesting about the beginning of their relationship, and probably to some extent this syndrome still exists. Harry is in love with the idea of Meghan, as opposed perhaps to being actually in love with the person that is Meghan. So, probably stalking her online is probably a very unfair way of putting it. He probably
but that is the
saw.
headline, Kev. Kev,
Yeah,
that is the
I know,
headline,
I know.
stalking her.
I'm just saying that it feeds in. Okay, so maybe he did. You could put that in a nicer way to say he saw her on social media, kept looking at
Online
it. Yeah,
infatuation.
yeah, okay, yeah, sure. But what that means is, right from the start, he was in love with the idea of her, this glamorous, good-looking Hollywood actress, who would take him into a different life, a more glittering life than he was used to. No more of this staid old royal nonsense. He can live the life of a Tinseltown superstar, all that stuff. And I think to some extent that is still there. Now, when you talk about her sort of dangling the idea of divorce and so on and so forth, if you don't shape up, Harry, I'm out of here. I wouldn't mind betting that isn't part of the dynamic of their relationship, that he's so obsessed with her, so sort of fixated on her, that she kind of dangles in front of him the warning. If you don't do exactly what I say, if you don't play the game exactly how I dictate it, I am out of here. How would you like that? I mean, to say she's calling the shots in that marriage is the understatement of the century, which comes back to what I was saying earlier. I genuinely feel sorry for Harry because, I don't know if you're allowed to say henpecked anymore because it sounds sexist.
You can.
But he's not so much henpecked. He is controlled. He is like an employee being told what to do. And I think it probably does lead to the fact that at a certain point, depending on how her game plan works out, she probably will walk away from him when she feels that he has no more use for her, and that perhaps she could gain an advantage by walking out. Because for God's sake, imagine that. If she leaves Harry, she will be on the front page of every newspaper, every magazine, every TV show, every radio show for about a month. Now think about that with Meghan. She would love that. She would love that. And I wouldn't mind betting that one day it will happen. He is nervous. He is worried. He is constantly threatened, I think. He's living a life he doesn't want to lead, but he's too terrified to leave not this woman that he married, but the idea of this woman that he married.
And his children. We know he loves his children. But
Yeah,
to your
to
point,
be fair, of course, yeah.
Valentine Lowe says in Courtiers that she did threaten to leave him unless he did what she wanted him to do, which was release that statement through the palace, defending her and defending some of the commentary in the UK media, which had they not done that, I think what they did, which is what the royal family never complain, never explain, always, that is their go-to because they don't want to elevate or put a focus on some of the negativity. But it did. All of a sudden, other people were talking about these negative things that would have been completely oblivious to them had they not released that statement. But Valentine Lowe says that Meghan threatened to leave Harry unless he did that. And he got Prince William involved. Prince William agreed to it, and Meghan got her way.
Yeah, and this is a good point. It's another good point. Harry's steeped in the royal way. Never complain, never explain. But since he's hooked up with Meghan, because of her, because she is the opposite of that, he's like, always complain, always explain. Some of these statements he's been putting out are just so ridiculous. Do you remember when William was in Rio de Janeiro for the Earthshot week, and he announced that he was going to Toronto for Remembrance Day services? Nothing wrong with that, by the way. And then people say, well, why did you announce it while your brother was in Rio? You know, you're just trying to steal the headlines from him, aren't you? Oh, no, 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 no. Out comes an official statement. It's about 10 paragraphs long. Oh, because of the, you know, the conflicting schedules and the conflicting timetables, we only had a small window of opportunity to make this announcement. No, shut up. It's just ridiculous. So he has trashed the golden royal rule of you don't have to explain all this stuff. You don't have to complain. That's what two-bit celebrities do. Royal members of the British royal family don't do that, but he now does that because his two-bit celebrity wife orders him to, and he's too scared to tell her no. Someone needs to go up to that woman, or at some point in her life when she's going, I want this and I want that and I demand this, somebody needs to go straight up to her face and say, here, no, you're not getting what you want. I think she would unravel. I don't think she can even conceive of not getting her own way about absolutely everything.
You're right. And that will help us transition into our last story so effortlessly. According to royal author Tom Quinn, Harry and Meghan's move to Frogmore Cottage became the final straw for Meghan, as she and Harry were disappointed by their tiny first home, Nottingham Cottage, situated inside the grounds of Kensington Palace. Meghan allegedly complained about Windsor. I don't want to retire to rural obscurity. She did not feel like Frogmore Cottage was sufficient enough. We know, I think it was Katie Nichol that this is the second time I've said this week, so I should do a fact check, that said that Meghan wanted to live inside Windsor Castle, where the Queen was living, the audacity, because she wanted, like the Princess of Wales, Catherine at the time, who lived in Kensington, she wanted to live in a palace. She wanted to live in a castle. That was very important to her. And so Tom Quinn reports in his book, Kensington Palace, that Meghan was absolutely unhappy with that beautiful, scenic, protected space that was Frogmore Cottage. Its remoteness made Kensington seem like the center of the universe, he said. Does that surprise you that Meghan would refer to Windsor, which is this enchanting storybook space, as, you know, retiring into obscurity or rural obscurity? It just tells you how much she doesn't appreciate your culture and country, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'll tell you about Nottingham Cottage. She doesn't understand London, right? Now, that is Kensington. It's one of the most valuable property places in the country. Nottingham Cottage, she thought was too small. Let me tell you, if it was on the open market and wasn't sort of behind the walls of Kensington Palace, that would sell for probably £5, £6, £7 million, about $10 million. You know, that was the hovel she didn't want to live in. They then offer her this place, Frogmore Cottage, beautiful place. They spent £2.4 million renovating it, making it special for them. Now, the thing about Windsor Great Park, where it is, I mean, it is very kind of rural and countrified, but the beauty of it is you can get in your limousine, you can be in central London in 30 minutes. So
yeah, but not only that, Kev, but because of Buckingham Palace's renovations, Windsor has become the center of the royal world. That's where Trump had his state visit. That's where Macron had his visit recently. She just didn't understand. Classic, patience is a virtue, and they would have been the center of the world had they just stayed there.
Yeah, exactly right. I tell you what I'd have done if I was Meghan. I'd have said, yeah, Frogmore Cottage, lovely. Can we keep Nottingham Cottage as well for our London base? And then you'd have I would say Frogmore Cottage is probably worth, it won't be worth as much as Nottingham Cottage, I'll tell you that. Even though Nottingham Cottage is just a small sort of terraced muse house kind of thing. That will be worth about $10 million, $10 million. Frogmore Cottage, probably £5 million, $8 million. It's not as valuable as Nottingham because, you know, in Britain, in London, you know, there are 3 golden rules about the price of property: location, location, and location. Frogmore Cottage is not in such a good location as Nottingham Cottage, but she didn't get any of that, you know. And I think
she just wanted what Catherine had.
But I think the reality is that when she was confronted with, oh, you're going to be living at Frogmore Cottage, she thought at first, oh, it's great, it's fantastic. Then she looked around, you got trees and nothing else. And you are sort of in a kind of remote place. You don't feel like you're at the center of things. And she didn't like that either. And I think that Tom Quinn is right. I think when she sort of assimilated the reality that her future would be living in Frogmore Cottage, she didn't like it. And she had this idea about, oh, maybe I'll live in Windsor Castle because that's like a castle, you know, castle. It's a real fairy tale castle and all that. Well, she wouldn't have liked that either. I mean, you know Windsor, lovely town and all that, but London, it ain't. You know, you're not in the centre of things in Windsor. So I think that her whole domestic problem, where was she going to live, actually went to the heart of why she became so disillusioned with royal life, with Britain, because she didn't really understand it. She didn't really understand that Nottingham Cottage, that's where you want to live. Yeah, and then when she goes down to Windsor and goes, oh my God, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Can I get in that castle? That would not have made her happy. It was, she couldn't work out where would it be the best place to live. So that's why I think it all went wrong. And also because, of course, it was all to do with jealousy. You know, why have we only got a little cottage where William and Kate have got a big joint and all this kind of stuff? It's just
they have
ridiculous.
3 children, and they're going to be the king and queen.
There is that.
Agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Thanks so much for watching, and you can watch me with Kevin O'Sullivan on the Political Asylum with Kevin O'Sullivan on Talk's YouTube page later this week. Thanks so much for watching.